Welcome. Today we'll be testing 5 different types of water for total dissolved solids. Now TDS is not your definitive answer for your water quality questions, but it does give us a pretty good gauge for where everything stands. So for example, let's say you had 2 different products that both had 100 parts per million of TDS. One of those may be based mostly in minerals such as calcium and magnesium, and those are things your body can use. That's not a bad thing. The other could also have 100 parts per million, but that could be based in chemicals that are poisonous to you, such as chlorine, mercury, and lead. So even though they have the same TDS, one is clearly better. Still, for our purposes, the TDS tester is a pretty good feel for where we want to be. So today we have tap water from the city of Milwaukee, which is regarded by some as some of the best tap water in the country. We're also going to run that through a Brita filter, which is a pretty popular consumer product. It will filter the chlorine out of there and mercury, but it does miss some things like lead, fluoride, and benzene. We also have a reverse osmosis system from Apec water, and that should catch all of those things. Now Apec sells this as a 5-stage and a 6-stage, so we can simulate the 5-stage by cutting it off here at the tank, and then we'll also go through the remineralizing stage, stage 6, right here. So we're expecting the tank to be a little purer, but this one adds minerals for taste. And finally we have Gerber Pure, which, like the tank, is purified using reverse osmosis, but like stage 6, adds minerals for taste. So we're expecting this and this to be pretty competitive. Let's begin. Milwaukee tap water, 161 parts per million of TDS. Now compared to some people that have wells and other municipalities, that's pretty solid. That same water through a Brita filter, hopefully catching your chlorine and your mercury, but missing the lead, fluoride, and benzene. .103 parts per million TDS. So we're down from 160 to 100 right there. Not a bad showing from the Brita. Next we have through 5 stages of the Apec system. This will get a little messy, but it's worth it. And that comes in at 5 parts per million of TDS. So we're down from 160 in the tap to 100 through the Brita to just 5 parts per million through reverse osmosis. Then we're going to see what happens when we remineralize in stage 6. That's showing up at 18 parts per million. So that's about 13 parts per million of calcium, we hope. And finally we have Gerber Pure, which, like 5 stages here, is purified with reverse osmosis, but also adds minerals for taste, like this. So we're expecting something that's competitive with the 18 there. I've seen this register everything from 10 to 18 parts per million. Smart water usually comes in around 16 or 17 parts per million, and Trader Joe's alkaline water comes in at 22 to 23. But Gerber Pure is at 83, 82 parts per million of total dissolved solids. So I'm not really sure where that extra solid comes from. Maybe there's just a lot more minerals in that than there is in this, but it's definitely curious that it would be quite that high. So for today's purposes, I'm going to recommend the reverse osmosis from Apec water. Thanks for watching. Welcome. Today we'll be testing 5 different types of water for total dissolved solids. Now TDS is not your definitive answer for your water quality questions, but it does give us a pretty good gauge for where everything stands. So for example, let's say you had 2 different products that both had 100 parts per million of TDS. One of those may be based mostly in minerals such as calcium and magnesium, and those are things your body can use. That's not a bad thing. The other could